First, I'd like to thank the organizers of the Town Medicine Community Day. Some great weather, had some great conversations about the sewer, and got to grab some barbecue dinner on the way back at the firehouse. Second, I'd like to apologize for one of my statements at the last meeting. The finance strategy I was referring to was the township borrowing from the sewer capital fund, not the municipal authority. As an entity, the township was borrowing from itself. That said, hearing that the township has put money into the municipal authority does make me a little more confident in my assessment that the sewer rates should have been higher. Chuck just discussed some of that. I recently found out that the last time the sewer rates were increased with homes as a garbage disposal was 2007. So I'll take this time to amend another statement that Chuck wasn't as eager to correct. Not raising the sewer rates for a decade and a half, and then giving away the sewer in part due to concerns of capital expenditure, which is the only reason listed on the sewer evaluation site, would be an indication of a lack of basic fiscal planning. For tonight's twice monthly public comment about the sewer, I'd like to say I do not think it's appropriate for two supervisors to be on the TMA board and for the township solicitor to act as the TMA solicitor. I might say that in general, and especially would say so while the township is considered sewer monetization. I feel that the setup creates too many potential conflicts of interest and perverse incentives. Dissolving municipal authorities seem to be the standard procedure in these transactions, so excuse me for being a little nervous about this arrangement. This entire exploration is rotten with these types of perverse incentives. At the negotiation table, we have PFM facilitating this process, who stands to get paid more if they close on a sale and could further offer their services to manage the township's new cash. We have the bidders who would be able to expand their regional monopolies by acquiring our well-maintained sewer. The supervisors here would be able to cut some big red ribbons and brag about eliminating the township debt without technically raising taxes. Seemingly missing from the negotiation table are the township residents who would pay for all this via sewer rates. Chuck did talk about the FAQ, but it's still not up, going up within the day. Residents paying tens of thousands of dollars to connect to the system weren't explicitly made aware that the sale is being considered. There is no mention of this exploration in the spring newsletter. Even with the new table of contents, the data room is only really readable by someone getting paid to do so. And Chuck is rather conservative in what parts of public comments he chooses to respond to. I'm not convinced that the board is trying to be forthcoming about this process. Chuck has mentioned multiple times that the board hasn't done any analysis and are waiting for bids. That is a comical lack of work for a governmental body that is supposedly doing this in a fiduciary manner. That depreciation study was done in 2018. I think the board should be aware of what projects are coming up over the next few decades and approximately their costs. An accurate 20-year rate plan for the sewer is doable and I think should have been done 3 years ago. I believe a 10-year sewer plan was done recently, but there is absolutely no reason why the long-term analysis of the township holding onto the sewer shouldn't have been done before exploring this nuclear option of giving away the sewer. It's as if the only cited concerns about capital expenditure were pulled out of thin air. Selling the sewer is not the obvious solution to any of the benefits Chuck has mentioned so far, and it's necessarily the last option. So for the board to not explore any other option before looking into monetization is suspicious to me. Over in Plymouth Township, they had 4 town halls before deciding not to sell their sewer. Their council thought the exploration was an instructive experience and they valued the community input. They wound up finding other funding sources for the projects they were hoping to do. So in order to alleviate my and other concerns that the board might not be going through this process in the best manner, I will request for the 4th time that before voting on bids, the board commits to a town hall advertised through the mail. If this process magically works, or as I suspect, doesn't work for town medicine, I trust the supervisor's ability to articulate those ideas and field public comments at a town hall.
Thank you. I guess few comments, excuse me, in response to that. You're looking at the need to, you can't seem to separate the fact that we can have a sound running sewer system that's in great shape currently, and the need due to changing regulations that down the road we will have significant capital improvements. They're two different things. So when I say our system's in good shape, that is not in contradiction to our need for future capital expenditures. And the fact that we need future capital expenditures to meet ever-changing regulations is not evidence of mismanagement. Two different things. I think you're trying to throw the two things together, and it doesn't work. In terms of the town halls prior to the bid process, we don't have any information to present. We need to get evaluation on our system through the bid process so that we can do financial analysis. And like I said, we're looking at this from both the taxpayers and the ratepayers' perspective, not in a vacuum of just the sewer system. And we're also looking at this in order to reduce our, what I would call environmental and regulatory exposure and liability to the ever-changing regulations, and putting it in the hands of an entity that is in a better position to handle that. I think we can commit to having multiple meetings when we get into a January and February timeframe when we have evaluation on the plan. At that time, we can present our entire plan to the community. And frankly, we may not get to that point, because when the bids come in, we may find that the value doesn't make any sense. So we may not even get to that point. We don't know yet how we're going to notify people. I don't know whether we'll do it by mail, email, those are things we have to work out. So we're being as open and honest as we can right now. But we need information in order to evaluate this process. And as we said time and time again, we feel we have a responsibility to see whether this works for the Tolmenson community.
Okay.
Name and address, please.